And right now we are going to shift gears on this Health and Wellness Thursday and focus on COVID-19 and the potential of ending the pandemic. There's a plan in place that is new, and I have Michelle Nunn here to tell us all about this plan, this campaign, and more. Michelle, thanks for being here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really glad to be with you.
So tell me more about these plans that have been put in place. They're being called End COVID Now.
Yeah, the president called in the fall, called the world together for the actual ending of COVID, which can be accomplished if we ensure that we really reach a threshold of vaccinations around the world. 70% was what was set for 2022. And that means that we not only have to ensure that there is the supply of those vaccines, but that they can be distributed, that they can get into arms, especially in places, low-income countries that might not have the health infrastructure. And so we're calling for a $17 billion investment, which may seem like a lot. It's 1%, it's less than 1% of what we spent in Afghanistan. And it is what can help lead the world to ensuring that we truly end this pandemic in 2022.
When we look over the most recent months and what has been happening in regards to the pandemic, we've seen supply chain shortages, we've seen boosters, more availability to the vaccines for kids that are younger. Also, issues around mask wearing, new variants. It's been a very volatile climate and also very anxiety ridden on so many places. So how do you feel like that is going to, maybe resolve is too simple, but what do you feel like are the next steps with this?
Yeah, I think what we see is every time that we think we're going to turn the corner, another variant hits us. And so Omicron or Delta, and now we're fearful, I think, of what the next one might be. And the only way to stop that is to ensure that we address this as a global problem, as a global pandemic where none of us are safe until all of us are safe. And so that's what it's going to take ultimately. And that's what will take for us to go back to some normalcy, to ensure that we can restore the supply chains, that we can get the economy back track, and frankly, that we can also save millions of lives by ensuring that everybody has access to those vaccines around the world. So that's what we're calling for here. It's a pretty common sense, and it's a hugely, I think, valuable investment that will return in the trillions of dollars on the relatively modest amount that's being called for.
Michelle, how can this country lead the world in ending COVID right now?
I mean, already the U.S. has done more than any other country. We have really led the way in terms of the efficacy of the vaccines that have been created. We have donated a lot in terms of supply of vaccines, and yet we are not done. And I think we all recognize it's not about doing a lot; it's about getting the job done. And especially when you're facing a global pandemic, that's what's called for here. So we know that if the U.S. leads the world here, that others will also crowd in, and we think that we can accomplish this goal of 70% vaccinations within 2022 with this kind of investment and this kind of moral leadership from the United States.
Michelle, where can we get more information about this?
Yeah, everybody can go on endcovidnow.com and you can learn more about this common sense approach to ending the pandemic everywhere in order for us to be safe. And you can reach out to your congressperson and say, this is important. Let's get this done. Let's ensure that we end this pandemic.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle Nunn, for joining us today. Really appreciate your time and information about ending COVID and now, which is something that we all hope will come to pass very soon. We'll be back with more right after this.